You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
Hi, I'm Joe Heath.
I'm Toni Heath.
And this is the Watch-A-Thon of Rassilon.
What?
You gotta say like a little zinger, a barb, or of some sort.
No.
You don't want to say anything for the last Fifth Doctor serial? No?
No.
Okay. Today we're going to be talking about the 6th serial of the 21st season of Doctor Who. The last 5th Doctor serial. Though again, still not the last serial of this season. The penultimate serial of this season. The Caves of Androzani, which consists of 4 episodes that aired from March 8th, 1984 to March 16th, 1984.
True facts!
And I want to give a special shout out to Matt Golden for sponsoring this episode.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
Golden! You can check him out at MatthewGolden.net. Before we dive into this, is there anything going on in life that we want to talk about?
No.
That's fair. I feel like there's been some big news in my life. My parents got COVID-19. That's pretty shitty.
They're doing okay, though.
Yeah, they're doing all right.
They're definitely very sick. But they're at home.
I was exposed to Dad, but I got a test. I actually was tested twice.
Because you got tested right away and then waited 5 days and got tested again.
Because I was exposed to the person that exposed Dad. And Dad got it, and I didn't. But then I was like, well, I saw Dad after that time, so I got tested again. I've been tested 6 times total.
I mean, you've been negative every time.
I have been negative every time. I'm still thinking maybe... I think we both had it, possibly.
In March.
Yeah, it was like late February, early March.
Yeah, it's possible.
And now we're fine, right?
There have been plenty of people who've gotten it twice.
Oh.
Yeah.
But still, I've lucked out and I haven't felt sick since then. I've had low-key a sore throat this entire pandemic. So, I don't know if that's just like me being paranoid or if I actually have a sore throat. How are you feeling?
I'm so sleepy.
Yeah, I woke Toni up from a nap so that we could record this podcast.
I don't know what it is. I skate every Sunday. Every week I do this.
And usually you feel energized afterwards.
Well, I came home, and it's 4 miles, by the way, and I actually went a little bit farther than I normally do. I think I did like 4.5, because I was like, I'm going to do a third lap, and then I started doing it, and then I was like, I'm done. But I think what it is that I came home and we had that good soup that we made.
Oh, that was some good soup.
So I ate warm soup and I got soup belly and I laid down and that was it. I was done.
Actually, that's not what I want to talk about. We're recording this on the 27th after Christmas. We were going to visit some family for Christmas, but I got exposed, so we didn't go. So we stayed at home.
That didn't seem safe.
Yeah, so we stayed at home for Christmas. This is our first Christmas that we spent just the two of us at home. The first ever.
Ever. It's the first Christmas ever that I've not been with my family. And that includes the time that my appendix almost exploded on the 22nd. It didn't explode. I went to the hospital on time.
I'm glad it didn't explode.
I just don't have an appendix anymore.
How do people find out information about you now?
Oh my God.
We made dinner for Christmas.
Yeah.
And it was the best thing that you've ever made.
I'm happy to hear it because I spent some money on it. I bought some nice cuts of meat, and I don't ever do that.
Ribeye steaks, right?
Yeah.
They were so good. And mashed potatoes.
Mashed potatoes from scratch.
Bacon wrapped asparagus. We made some sugar cookies and banana pudding. The banana pudding was very basic.
Oh yeah, I put Jell-O mix into a bowl. I did. But I made the sugar cookies.
Yeah, the sugar cookies.
The sugar cookies from scratch, and I also made the icing from scratch, and the icing turned out pretty good. Except I started making the sugar cookies, and I was going to make the icing, and I didn't have any of the ingredients. I didn't have shortening, so I used coconut oil instead. But actually, it was really yummy.
It was very, very good. And
we have got to start the podcast.
You should all be jealous that you didn't get any of it. Oh, and for Christmas, what did you get for Christmas?
What did I get for Christmas? I got a knife.
Yeah, Zelda knife.
It's very cool, and it's now my biggest knife. It's bigger than my rainbow knife.
I got some books, Terry Pratchett books. We both got T-shirts from Chris Cherry that say "Dreams are private," which I knew that's what it was going to say when we got them. I was very excited. And my parents got us a Quest. Oculus Quest.
Yeah, they should not have done that, but I have been playing a lot of Beat Saber. Like, I've been off for 4 days just playing Beat Saber. And I had, like, plans. I had, like, books that I was going to read, and I've been making stuff out of clay. So I was going to do that. I was going to tear apart palettes. I was going to make a bunch of stuff, and I didn't. I just played Beat Saber.
And watched DuckTales.
And watched, I think, so much DuckTales. An entire season of DuckTales?
Oh, love.
2 seasons?
Yeah, we only have the 2-part finale left of season 2.
We watched 2 seasons of DuckTales.
There's 26 episodes apiece. We've watched so much DuckTales. Speaking of DuckTales, it stars David Tennant, who is most famously known as the Doctor from Doctor Who, and his father-in-law.
This little show, Doctor Who. Perhaps you've heard of it.
His father-in-law is who we're here to talk about today.
That was pretty good.
Segues.
That was solid. I respect that.
So let's talk about it. The last serial of Peter Davison, The Caves of Androzani. I was very excited that we were back in a cave. I don't know. Caves of, yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically with the title. Though, according to the Doctor, he says it's not a cave, it's a blowhole.
That's true. He says that it's not a cave, and we don't care.
Why didn't they call it the blowholes of Androzani?
I can't think of a single reason why they wouldn't.
And technically, it should be the blowholes of Androzani Minor. If we're gonna be super pedantic about it.
Catchy title.
The Blowholes of Androzani Minor. Episode 1, which I have called Death Under the Red Cloth. Nice and ominous, which is going to contrast my title for the last episode, which is super stupid. So, the Doctor and Perry land on Androzani Minor, which has no sea, which annoys Perry, because I guess the Doctor told her they were going to, I don't know, the beach?
He just said sand, and she assumed the beach. Yeah. Also, this shot is weird.
I know why.
Oh, why?
Are you talking about the weirdness of the fact that it's clearly just some establishing shots with some clearly dubbed over audio?
Yes.
Something happened, and they had to, there's like a strike or something, and they couldn't film everything. So they cut the opening scene, and so they just had to dub in some lines later because they couldn't actually film the opening. They had to rewrite it a little bit. In the original opening, he was talking about how he had a glass bottle collection, and he had one from Androzani Minor, and it broke. So he wants to go back and get a new one.
The Doctor has a glass bottle collection?
Yeah, the Doctor's glass bottle collection is what ultimately leads to his ruination. How do you feel about that?
I can't get over the fact that he collects glass bottles.
Why not? He's a fucking nerd.
Yeah, fair enough.
So,
I mean, I think it's weird because I collect glass bottles. And that anytime we purchase something that comes in a glass bottle and then it becomes empty, I don't throw it away. The tops of our kitchen cabinets are full of bottles and also jars.
Not full of anything, though. So, it's not the worst. If it was, full of, stuff.
What stuff?
Jars full of body parts and whatnot, then you'd have a problem.
Why would I put body parts in my jars?
People do.
What people?
Oh, people.
The Doctor?
Maybe. I don't think so. Well, no, he did keep a hand in a jar for most of the second season of the new series.
He could have just thrown that out.
Anyway, Perry finds some glass, and the Doctor, where there shouldn't be glass, I think. And the Doctor deducts that between this and some tracks he found, a spaceship must have landed here. The heat must have caused the glass, right?
Well, not a spaceship necessarily, because it's local. He said it's from the planet.
I thought How do you make glass? Isn't sand involved? You heat up sand? Am I just
Yeah.
making shit up?
No,
Okay.
no, but I mean, it's like a rocket or propulsion or whatever, but I think he specifically says, like, it's probably from, it's not long distance, so it's probably from, well, I guess it would still be a spaceship, because I think he said it's from major to minor.
It's a key change?
Yeah.
And also the tracks just stop. So that's why he's like, it must be like a spaceship, because it just, the tracks stop at some point. So they follow the tracks to some caves, or blowholes, as the doctor calls them. The doctor mentions that this place gets covered in mud baths occasionally, which is why there's no people here, because there's like mud bursts. They happen, right? Like volcanoes, but of mud. And he also says he can't remember the last time he was here. Pretty sure it wasn't the future. And Perry is like, you're a very confusing person. And he also mentions that he's like, I used to keep a diary to keep track of all this shit, but it's very hard to do, so I stopped doing that, I guess. But I was very excited because we've seen his diary before.
The line is actually, that's the thing about time travel. She never seemed to find the time.
Man, I bet it just fucks with your sleep cycle too. Just jet lag constantly.
Yeah, it never makes any sense.
Right, you travel from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. and back to 3 a.m. and it's all muddled up. You don't know when to sleep. That would be my problem. I feel like I'd probably just be like, oh, it's not time for bed yet. And then I would just stay up too late and then die.
You can just die of sleep deprivation.
Yeah, I just forget to sleep. We see in the cave and there's some people working around in there. They got guns. And a man is attacked by a very cheesy looking monster.
Very cheesy. Just like, it's basically some kind of dragon.
Well, it's a guy in a dragon costume. I feel like this is the weakest part of the whole serial, that monster.
There were other things, too.
I mean, yeah, that's probably fair. But it just felt like very tacked on just so there could be a monster, and it doesn't ultimately do anything.
I was going to say, the weakest thing about this monster is how it's resolved, which is that, like, it shows up in a couple of scenes, and then later it's just dead.
You assume that there's, like, these soldiers that kill it, because before you see it dead, you see it fighting some soldiers, and you don't know how that turns out. But then it's just dead. That's another moment of a script scene that got cut. The doctor was supposed to fight it. And then they cut it and just had him run up and go, sorry, you're dead. Bye. But yeah, the monster is not the best part of this serial, I feel like. So the doctor and Perry are wandering around in the caves, exploring it. She slips, but she does a full-on, like, flip down a hole and falls directly into a sticky thing. Also, as soon as she slips and falls and goes, ah, the doctor says something like, be careful, it's slippery. Anyway, she lands in this big, like, gooey thing.
It looks like spider webs to me.
And the doctor pulls her out and gets some on his hand. And she's like, it tingles. And he's like, it's probably fine. Let's not worry about it. And they go walking, exploring some more. And the doctor explains the celery. I thought this was going to be important to the plot at some point.
But it's not.
It's not at all. He says he's allergic to certain gases. The celery turns purple if he's exposed to those gases, and if that happens, he eats the celery.
It doesn't seem like the celery actually does anything.
No.
Like, eating it isn't a medical thing. He's just like, I don't know if it'll do anything. If nothing else, it'll just be a nice snack.
He does later say it's like a good restorative, but not for humans. But I thought this was going to be a plot point. I was like waiting for that celery to turn purple at any point. It does not. Apparently that was not in the original script. It was added in by the script editor.
For what purpose?
To explain the fucking celery, I guess? It contributes nothing to the story. I mean, it clears up why the fuck he's got celery on all the time. He didn't have it in the last serial. What if there was those gases on that volcano planet?
He wouldn't know.
He wouldn't know because he took his coat off because it was hot.
The celery is a weird thing.
Yeah. And then Perry's like, that's interesting, I guess. Anyway, why you got question marks all over you? Let's just explain your whole costume.
What's your deal, actually?
Do you even have other clothes? We've been in a whole bunch of adventures, probably, between the last episode and this one, because Big Finish has definitely done that.
I was going to say, is that implied that this is... Or is that just Big Finish? I don't think it's implied.
That's just... I'm pretty sure Big Finish has shoved a bunch in there, though. But the show itself doesn't say that. I think the show itself is just like, this continues on after.
This is like their second adventure.
Yeah. Maybe their third. I'll allow them at least one in between.
Big Finish, pick one.
And And then I read my notes and read names of characters I don't remember. Next, we meet these guys. They're selling weapons in exchange for drugs, basically. The leader, his name is Stotts, and there's this one guy who's just constantly like, when are we getting our money? I'm very grumpy about this whole situation. And his name is Krelper. And Stotts is always like, it's going to be fine. Also, I'm fucking crazy. And then, like, gets very violent at times. They are trying to deliver some weapons, but they hear some people coming, so they hide. And the Doctor and Perry stumble out and find the weapons and bombs that they were trying to deliver. They get caught with those bombs. It is assumed that they are the ones who are delivering the bombs and weapons, and they get taken away. Though, first off, they hide in plain sight, and I was like...
This is the worst one yet! And then they immediately get caught, and you're like, oh shit, it really is.
I feel like that's the first time hiding in plain sight has not worked on this show.
You think the Doctor was just floored? Like, but I was slightly behind something.
There was one time I was, like, just barely behind a wall, and a Dalek looked right the fuck at me and did nothing. Salatine is a guy who has some nice hair. He's got, like, that, like, you know, that, like, emo look going on. It's, like, all in front of his eye, almost.
Yeah, I thought he looked like, dude from The Stand.
Oh, Harold Lauder?
Yeah.
The new one? The one that's
the new one,
now?
yeah. I was thinking it the entire episode. It's the same hair swoopy.
The hair swoopy, yeah. He informs his superior officer, I suppose, Chelak, who has a mustache. That is his sole defining characteristic.
Sure, I don't know anything about this guy.
He's the boss, the guy who's trying to stop the weapons dealers, and he's also trying to stop a guy named Sheraz Jek.
Yep, that guy exists.
We will get to him in a little bit, but we hear mentions of, we have to stop Sheraz Jek, and he's doing this, and these guys, Chelak and Salatine, are trying to stop him. And they think that they found some people that work for him, some gun runners, and I think that's the Doctor and Perry, but, you know. Then we meet another guy that I thought was very boring. I did not care for him. I rewatching it to make the GIFs, I appreciate it a little more because I was reading the transcript, also to clean up the notes, and, like, I appreciate these scenes a little bit more, but when we watched them originally, I was like, I have no idea what the fuck happened in these scenes because they are delivered so matter-of-factly, and they're just fucking exposition.
Something where, like, the main boss guy, the delivery that he's chosen to do is so flat, and it's intentional, but it's also, like, very hard to listen to. Especially when it's, like, delivering just, like, anyway, here's the plot of this episode. Are you listening? And my brain is just like, no, I'm not.
This guy's name is Morgus, and he talks very much like this. I'm just going to read my note in a sort of voice that he would do. Morgus is informed by Timon that Chelak has caught gun runners, the spineless cretins.
But it's everything. It never varies from that. Not ever. There's this thing my brain does when it gets to, like, a big chunk of text where my brain's just like, I had the exact same reaction to that dude's voice. I do like the concepts and stuff that's in this, because I know you don't really like space politics.
I don't.
I don't have a problem with
Fuck
space
you,
politics.
Star Wars prequels. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't have a problem with space politics. I usually enjoy them.
Did you hear?
No. Well, that's what I'm saying. When I could pay attention to them, I was like, the actual ideas here are good and interesting.
It's just the flat delivery that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that's good about this serial that I feel like we're probably not going to touch on much as we're going through the plot, but the camera work and the direction is very good.
Ooh, they actually move the camera, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of handheld stuff and interesting camera angles and camera movements. There's some interesting editing choices that are made later on. It feels like when they did all the weird shit in that serial I can't stand. You know, the one with the Fourth Doctor where he turns old, and I couldn't follow a lick of it. It feels like that, except well done. But yeah, that note I read, Morgus is like, he's a business guy. He's politics guy. He's head of Androzani bullshit. And Timon is like his secretary. She's got this really cool blue outfit. Morgus and another guy we'll meet later who's the president have like these weird they got like neck stuff that looks
They're
like
little rolls.
Yeah, it looks like a rolled up condom.
Okay.
Around their necks. So that's Morgus in the present. We haven't got to the president yet, though. But she tells Morgus that Chelak, mustache guy, has caught the gun runners. And Morgus does have a line where, like, he turns dramatically and goes, "The spineless cretins." There's times where he will turn away and deliver lines, and that's weird.
You say turn away. He's not turned away. He's looking directly at you.
Yeah.
He's delivering them to the camera like they're a fucking dramatic aside.
He misread the script. He misread the stage direction, and did that. And the director was like, I like it.
He
does it like 4 times.
I hate when characters look at me. I don't like it. Don't look at me.
It's very unsettling. Salatine and Chelak discuss the fact that there are people being killed on the blue level, and that's the monster doing that. They gotta just keep that fresh in your minds. They say no one's seen the monster, they just find the monster's leavings. They use the phrase leavings twice, I feel like, and that's gross.
It is gross.
Does it mean like just there's just bits of it around, or does it just mean like shit?
Probably both.
Is it just like monster shit, but it used to be people? Used to be people shit?
Yeah.
So the Doctor and Perry are brought into Chelak. Chelak says to call him Sir, and then questions them. The Doctor and Perry just do this bit where they're like, he of course says something like, well, what's your name, sir? Very annoying.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Perry's never done a bit in her life.
Yeah, okay, she's written like she's doing a bit, but she's not acting like she's doing a bit.
Just being actively traumatized.
The whole time. The Doctor is definitely doing bits. He's actually really fucking funny in this serial.
He is. He's really funny, and instead of like playing off of him, Perry is just like, wow, this shit sure is fucked. Which is difficult because you can't argue with her.
But it gives the scenes a weird vibe. Because like in this one, it's like Perry says something to Chelak when they're being questioned. After she finishes her statement or whatever, the Doctor goes, Sir. And then she goes, Sir. Like scared. And then like the Doctor says something and then she goes, Sir. And he goes, oh yes, thank you. And, like, that's a good comic bit, but she's not playing it like comedy.
No, she's scared out of her mind.
I don't super care for Perry.
Yeah.
I mean, part of it's, I feel like she's playing things way too dramatically. And also, the accent is not helping her. And I think it makes some of her delivery flat because she's trying to make her voice flat for the accent.
Yeah.
And that doubles up to be, bad? Anyway, he's like, you guys are gun runners and working for Shiraz Jack, and they're like, we have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. They're like, well, we're going to throw you in a room until we figure out what we're going to do with you. We still think you're lying. Chelak makes a call to Morgus, who just proceeds to tell Chelak that he's doing a terrible job. I couldn't quite follow the scene either, but I was interested in the fact that, like, the video screen comes on. I mean, it's just an overlay. But he walks behind it, and then, like, you see from another camera angle, you see the back of the projection, the back of Chelak's head in the projection. So it's giving the illusion.
It sells the idea that
it's a 3D. Yeah. I was like, oh, that's really neat. That's cool. I like that. And that's the only time they do it the entire serial. They have projections on that thing, but they never try to sell the 3D effect again. And then we see that somebody has been watching all of this that we've been watching. He's also watching Doctor Who. The camera work gets creepy. We only see a hand. We only see a close-up of a guy's mouth clearly wearing like a mask. I think Morgus he wants to see the Doctor and Perry, so Chelak pulls him on to the camera. And as he sees Perry, his mouth just goes, beautiful.
This guy is the worst.
This is the Phantom of the Opera portion of... We will later see he's wearing like a domino mask looking thing.
He's got the same vibe as Scorpius.
Scorpius from Farscape, yeah. In my notes, it just said Scorpius until I figured out what his name was. I mean, it's Scorpius meets Phantom of the Opera. And it also reminded me a bit of the guy from Talons of Wang Chiang. The guy whose face was all fucked up in that. Robert Holmes has a thing about guys with fucked up faces.
Here's the thing about that.
Seems rude.
It's so fucking rude. Like, eventually this guy's mask comes off, and like 3 people scream at his face. And it's like, you can't do that.
That's rude.
He's just a guy.
He just burned his face.
You can't scream at burn victims. It's not cool. I don't know. I always hate when it's like a plot point to something. Because I'm like, It's fine.
I think that one Twilight Zone episode's real shitty, too.
Why is everyone being so fucking weird about this thing? Which one?
What is it, Eye of the Beholder or something like
The
that?
one where they all have, like, pig faces?
Yeah.
That continually shows up on, like...
Best of.
Best of lists. I hate it. It's never been one of my favorites. There are much better Twilight Zone episodes. Yeah. It's not even, like, a good reveal.
Like, if you are at the least bit thinking about it, you're like, why aren't they showing their faces? Oh, their faces must be fucked up.
They must be different than what we're expecting, and that must be... You figure all that out within, like, 5 minutes, and then they show... And, like, the makeup's cool, but it's not like fucking Monsters on Maple Street or whatever it's called, where, like...
Turns out it's man.
That shit fucked me up. I think about it all the time still. It's not that. And when people act like it is, it's like, ugh. It's not one of my favorites, and I hate that it constantly makes best of lists. I have a lot of Twilight Zone opinions, apparently.
I mean, it's also kind of similar to, honestly, the Daleks and the Thalls. I didn't super care for it then either. Like it's the ugly monsters versus the good-looking monsters. And,
that is kind of their deal, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of that.
We could just go ahead and say the word ableist. It's ableist.
It's ableist. Yeah, there you go. So anyway, Morgus gets a look at the Doctor and Perry, and he's like, oh... It's not anybody I know. They're not going to fool with my plans. Anyway, execute them. I don't give a shit. Kill them. They're not important. Shellac's like, oh, I said if they cooperate, then they'd be fine. And Moore's like, they're bad guys. Just kill them. So the Doctor and Perry are sentenced to death under the red cloth, which sounds cool as shit. They get to wear red cloaks, and they get to decide what gets done with their ashes? Isn't that what Celatine says?
Yeah. It's a very respectable death is kind of the deal. I think Perry says, would rather not die, yeah.
Any death seems kind of shitty. We also, later, the president's they're watching the execution, and he's like, this used to only be reserved for, military. Used to be only used for soldiers. This is a mockery of the red cloth. So it is an honorable death, and he thinks it is shitty that we're using it on...
We're?
Yes, us, the viewers. No, sorry, that they are using it on, criminals. Just common criminals. Also, the Morgus tells Timon that he wishes the execution could be public so everyone could see it, and that'd be great. That's whatever. I just want to talk about the way that scene is filmed. They're standing in an elevator, and they are just face to face.
Why are they so close?
I don't know. It's not even that small of an elevator.
It's a little erotic how close they are.
It was an interesting shot, and I was like, this is a nice shot. And then the elevator door opened, and I was like, why are they so close to each other? I assumed it was a small space, but when they cut to the wide, it's like, nah, they're just standing really close for no reason. Oh, also, I believe Shellac has said that they're in a war against androids. That Jek has androids that he's been using, and that's who they've been fighting. So the Doctor and Perry are in a cell, and he's just rambling on about all the stuff that's been going on, trying to piece things together. He's concerned about the androids and the fact that Morgus was all be gone with them. I don't care about them. And Perry is just I just don't want to get shot. And it's very sad. And the Doctor's like, you're being boring. We're having adventures. And also, their rashes are getting worse. They're very itchy now. She's got them on her legs, and he's got it on his hand. And then we cut to a very creepy montage. I feel like this is the first time I've ever seen anything like this on Doctor Who. It's just Jek setting stuff up and fiddling with, slowly stroking stuff.
So sexual.
He's just flipping switches and sliding his hands across things while it crossfades and creepy music is playing. Have we ever seen anything edited like that on this show before?
I don't know, but this character is the worst.
And then we get a brief shot of him entering the cell of the Doctor and Perry so quick that I missed it when we watched it originally.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just missed it, which actually I think makes the cliffhanger work a little bit better. So Morgus and the President have a discussion that I did not follow at all because it was long and boring. But while making my notes, I found out they were discussing Spectrox, the drug that we later find out about, but it makes you young. And the president's been taking it. Everybody apparently takes it. It keeps you young forever.
But it's very expensive.
Yeah, it's hard to mine. They talk about business, and they talk about the war with Jack. Jack has Spectrox, and that's what they want. He's got big stores of it. And then they tune into the execution, which Jack watches on TV and laughs very creepily. He says. The doctor and Perry put in the red cloths and are asked if they have any last words. The doctor says, "This is a mockery of justice." And Perry says, "Just do it."
Very traumatized.
And then they're shot.
And that's the end.
That's the end. They do get shot, too. I was like, oh, I wonder how they get out of this one. And then the next episode started, and it shows them actually getting shot, and they fall down. And I was like, what? So that was the end of episode 1. We're now into episode 2, which I've called Deep Penetration, because that is something someone says.
Could have not.
There's a lot of, poorly phrased things in this serial, and I don't know if they're on purpose or not. There's a line about deep penetration. They say something about blowing Jack. There's just a handful of innuendo-y type things. And I'm like, is that on purpose? Anyway, they're shot. Morgus and the president continue talking. Again, I couldn't pay attention to it for the life of me. I was literally watching it pay attention. We do a podcast about this. You have to know what the plot is. And that was all I could hear in my head while they were just blah, 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 blah. It was like fucking Teachers in the Peanuts universe. Just could not concentrate on it at all. I could hear tone, but no information. I was like, okay, so the guy who talks to the camera is a dick. The president's mad at him about something. I can tell because of the music. And him being like, and I was like, okay, he's mad at him for something. I don't know what. He's being very passive aggressive. So what actually happens in that scene? Morgus has been closing plants in the West and also arresting people for not working. And they don't know what to do with all these people. And he's like, oh, we'll just send them to the labor camps in the East. So he's been closing camps in the West, arresting people for not working, and then putting them in labor camps that he owns. He's basically taking the people that he employed, firing them, arresting them, so that they'll work for free for him.
Yep.
That's shitty.
That's real shitty.
And the president is not super happy about this.
But he's also not that mad. He's like, hey, that's kind of annoying.
Maybe you should not do that. Or do. I don't give that much of a shit.
I don't super care.
So yeah, reading that scene from a transcript, I was like, whoa, that's shitty. That's interesting. Watching the episode, I was like, oh God, what's happening? Why are they talking like this?
This is what I'm saying. I feel like it really comes down to a choice of delivery. The ideas themselves that are there are very interesting.
And it doesn't help that I'm like, what the fuck happened to the Doctor and Perry?
Why are you watching this weird conversation when they just died?
I knew this was his last serial. I didn't know it happened at the end of episode 1. But no, Jack has swapped them out with androids. And we immediately see Chelak and Salatine realize that they have executed a couple of androids. And they decide to keep that shit a secret. Because it would look embarrassing if they just murdered some robots. This is also when deep penetration is mentioned. Because there's no one else will know about it. Only this guy over here saw it, that it was androids. So I'm just going to send him on a deep penetration mission. Well, the Doctor and Perry are like, thank you for saving us, Jack. We'll be going now. And he's like,
you're fucking creepy.
No, you're not leaving. I'm sorry. You have to stay here forever with me. And then we get a scene with the guys who are actually trying to sell the weapons. Stotts is just taking a nap on a hillside, and a couple of legs just walk up. The way this
scene is shot
is Stotts is laying on the ground. Krelper comes up to talk to him and says, hey, pay me. We want to be paid and we want out of here.
It's shot from the crotch.
Yeah, it's shot from the crotch. Through the crotch.
Yeah.
You see Stotts laying down between Krelper's legs.
Why?
It's all about eroticism. We've got you got the scene in the elevator where they look like they're about to kiss.
Right.
And now you got the blowjob scene.
Right.
I'm assuming it's just going to keep building and building till the climax. These erotically charged shots. You gotta convey your madness at me through your voice. This is an audio podcast.
I do need to figure out how to shoot you a dirty look with my mouth.
Anyway, in this scene, the Krelper asks Stotts, well, doesn't ask, he's like, we want our money, we want to leave. None of us, this is bad, we don't like it. And then Stotts laughs at him and then attacks him with a knife. And is like, you'll do what I say, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, it's got a knife to his throat and is pushing him across the ground to, like, the side of a cliff. And is like, don't question me, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, he's like, I got these pills. Let's see if they work. And shoves them in the guy's mouth. And then the guy's freaking out. And then he spits it out. And he's like, well, next time it won't be fake. And then he leaves. And I was like, what the fuck?
This guy's nuts!
Went from like 0 to 100 real quick. A bit of an overkill too. Knife, side of the cliff, and a poison pill. That's a bit dramatic, if you ask me.
That is a lot.
Then the doctor and Perry do some exercises. Because her legs are feeling bad, so the doctor tells her to do, like, toe touches. She does toe touches, and Jack is like,
No, he is, though.
I love beauty. He's just goes up to her and is like, I super love beauty, and I admire beauty, and I used to be beautiful, and then, like, while he's just talking about how beautiful she is, the doctor just pops up in between the two of them. Like, what about me? I mean, he's just stopping him from being creepy.
He's very much like, all right, that's enough of that.
But Jack does also say, I also like minds. Smart minds, me and you. You've got a smart mind, doctor. We'll play chess or something.
I think he says, you're almost as smart as I am, which the doctor takes a lot of offense to.
He later is like, brings it back up. He's like, he said he was maybe smarter than me. The gall of that man, basically.
Arrogance.
And I think he talks about the Spectrox and how it keeps you young and alive. And he basically tells Perry that he's going to keep her alive forever, to be with him forever. And Jack has all of it. He has all the Spectrox, and that's what the people want. Why they're at war with him. And then he shows them that he has his eyes on everything. He's like, I'm just going to give you the tour of my evil lab. I got all these cameras pointed on everybody. I got it all on lockdown. They'll never be able to defeat me. And he also wants to kill Morgus, because Morgus betrayed him at some point. And he kind of tells him, but doesn't fully tell him, I think. Later, somebody else will tell him the full plot, which is, we haven't got there yet, but it's Salatine is there, the real Salatine. And, like, there's a bit where he's like, Jack mentions that Morgus betrayed him, and then, like, he leaves, and then Salatine's like, I've heard that story 50 times. And he tells him the story. I'm jumping ahead a little bit.
Salatine's a great character, though. Well, this version of him is. Because he's been there. He's been captive for, like, longer. And at first he's, like, pissed that they're there. Because
he's like, now he's going to get rid of me because you guys are his new playthings. Meanwhile, Timon tells Morgus that a mine has exploded. And he is glad that this will make profits better because they were overproducing.
It'll be more rare now.
And then he's like, tell everyone that works there to have a minute of silence in respect for the dead. Wait, make it half a minute.
Half a minute. 30 seconds.
The doctor gets a cramp and Perry massages him. She was getting leg cramps. He's getting shoulder cramps. She gives him a massage. And Salatine's like, hey, have you guys touched a Spectrox nest? And they're like, I mean...
Sticky white thing?
Yeah. And he's like, oh, yeah. You're gonna die.
He laughs for like a solid 5 minutes.
He's like, oh yeah, you guys probably don't see how funny that is, but it's fucking hilarious. I can't wait for Jack to hear about this because he thinks you guys are, gonna be his next big thing. But you're dead. You're dead.
Yeah, his new toys are already broken.
And they're like, well, surely there's a cure. And he's like, yeah, and it's Queen Bat Milk.
I don't know what the fuck that means. I mean, I know what bat milk is, and I guess there's a queen bat.
Yeah, well, I think the Spectrox is made...
from bats?
Bat droppings, yeah. I think they say something like that. It has something to do with the bats. In its pure form, it's deadly.
Poison.
That's why Jack has all the Spectrox, because Jack has the androids who can go and collect it without being harmed, because they're androids. They're not real people. They refine the Spectrox But the regular bats make the Spectrox, but the queen bat makes the milk, you do something with it, and that makes...
Antidote.
Yeah,
Sure.
antidote to the poison.
That's science.
That all works out. But there's further complications. Not only do you have to get the milk of a bat queen, the bat queens are in the deepest part of the cave that is guarded by a monster that's killing people, and also the deepest part of the cave has no oxygen. So the doctor and Perry are probably going to die.
They're so fucked.
Jack and Stotts arrange a meeting to discuss payment and the fact that they didn't ship the weapons that they were supposed to because the doctor kind of interfered there. Salatine mentions that they can't leave because there are android guards, and they'll be shot instantly if they try to leave, unless they have a belt plate that the androids read, and then they'll be like, oh, that's...
emits a certain frequency or something, and they won't shoot that person.
But it is programmed to kill humans.
The doctor's like, cool, I'm not human.
Let's give it a shot.
I like that he's not 100% certain that this plan is going to work. I mean, let's see how either it's clever enough that it'll read me and be like, that's not human, or it won't.
Oh, sorry, that's coming up in a minute. We have a scene with Jack first that has more fucking innuendo.
Oh, what?
Perry kind of questions the doctor, like, why does he never take his mask off? And he overhears it in the background. Jack does, and he's like, you want to know? I'll tell you why. And then just, goes on about how he used to be beautiful and stuff. And then he says, but now I can't even think about touching myself.
Oh.
Yeah. I assume it means his face, but I don't think he touches himself. I feel like he'd be probably less of a asshole if he just wanked it a couple times,
Yeah, probably.
Just gotta release that pent-up Jack juice.
You winced at that right as soon as you said it.
Yeah, I felt bad. And that's when he starts to tell the story about Morgus, and Salatine fills in the rest of it. But basically, him and Morgus were looking for Spectrox, I guess, and Morgus, just abandoned him on purpose in the middle of a mud burst, and he got burnt. He managed to escape, but his face was severely burnt. But they had devices that were supposed to warn them.
Which is a thing that happens to people sometimes, and you shouldn't be weird about it.
But they had devices that were supposed to warn them of the mud bursts, but Morgus fucked with his, so it didn't warn him. So Morgus is a dick.
Which we already knew.
Honestly, so is Jack. Doesn't matter if he has a tragic story. Jack also says he is not going to give Stotts the amount of Spectrox he said he was, because it took him so long to deliver it. Then the scene where the doctor is going to just go outside and hope that the android doesn't shoot him. Oh, by the way, we should talk about what these androids look like.
Yeah.
They just have white helmets. They're just like a white head with a circuitry-looking circle in the middle of their face. They look like they just got a big speaker right in the center of their face. And it looks really cool. And they also wear all black suits. So they kind of match Domino's color scheme. Yeah. Not Domino, Jack. I'd say Domino because it's black and white. So they match Jack's color scheme. The android scans the doctor, and sees the two hearts. I thought that was really cool. We got to see, it was we see from his point of view, and it's
we got to see both of them.
And the doctor's like, see, you're not human. And then it's what? And then he goes around and fiddles with his neck and deactivates him. But they get a belt plate for Perry anyway, just in case. And then they leave, because they might bump into more. A deal is sort of made between Stotts and Jack. It's not the deal he wanted to make. Kelper is really pissed about it. And Stotts is like, shut up. Where they store the Spectrox has to be around here. We'll just follow him and steal the rest of it. We're bad guys. We can do that. And I believe that's the scene where Kelper also says, we're gonna blow Jack. It's gotta be on purpose. Don't touch himself. Deep penetration. Blow Jack. Jack juice.
That was you.
Oh. Then the Dr. Perry and Salatine get shot at by an android, and the doctor gets hit in the head. Gets shot in the head. It bounces, it scrapes by him. I feel like that's the second time that's happened to him in this show.
Sometimes you just almost get shot in the head.
Salatine fires back, blows up the android, and then just takes Perry and runs?
Yep.
Leaves the doctor, and he's using her as a shield because she's got the belt on.
Right.
And then the doctor wakes up and looks for them. It's not a situation of oh, the doctor's dead, let's leave. It was he just kidnaps her because he hears the doctor and he's holding her mouth, don't say anything. Like, he doesn't trust the doctor, I guess. Jack returns after his deal and finds that they're all missing, and he gets very dramatic. He goes, no! And then flings himself down. His, like, fists down on the console. He's very, very upset. And then the gunrunners, Stottsman, and the doctor are attacked by the creature. Oh no!
Oh no!
That is the end of episode 2. We're now into episode 3, which I have called Shafted. The doctor escapes from the monster while it is distracted, killing everybody else. It's got like, this is the first time I noticed it has like gold wings, I guess. It's got like a cape looking thing going on.
Does it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You know what it reminds me of? Though it didn't remind me of it at the time because I hadn't seen it at the time.
Wonder Woman?
Yeah. Wonder Woman's gold armor in the new movie. Which, that movie is...
It's not good.
It's not good. There's some good stuff in it.
What's weird is I've seen a lot of people being like, it's not good. It's so cheesy and goofy. And it's like, what? No. The
cheesy goofy parts work.
Or the best parts. It's everything else that's boring.
It's 3 movies long, and it only needs to be 1.5 movies long.
No, it just needs to be one movie long. Don't give it another half a movie.
I will allow it to have half a movie if it wants one.
No.
So, Salatine brings Perry to Chelak and says the other him is an android spy. And Chelak is like, oh no, that's bad.
I've been telling him everything.
Oh shit. The gunrunners find Jack and complain about the creature and think that Jack set it up on purpose, I guess. And say like, oh, you put him there on purpose to attack us or whatever. And I think Jack just takes credit for it, but I don't think he had anything to do with it. And then he also catches the doctor who was trying to hide from all this. And he's like, surprised to see you again so soon. And the doctor is like, well, sometimes life is full of surprises. He is very funny, this serial.
Very quippy.
It's going to backfire in a second. So Salatine is talking to Chelak, and he comes up with a plan to use the android version of himself to spread disinformation. To tell him, like, oh, we think we found Jack's base, let's head over here. So that they all head over there. Like, he heads over there. And
in the wrong
Jack,
direction.
Yeah, and Jack will think that they're heading over there while they actually go to where his base actually is. And I was like, that's a really good plan.
It immediately doesn't work.
It immediately does not work. And so Jack asks the doctor, like, why didn't the androids kill you? And the doctor says, they must have just liked my face. Then there's a small scene of Jack talking to the gunrunners or something. And then he just slaps the shit out of the doctor.
For real, right?
For real. He couldn't see because of the mask. He hits him right in the neck. Basically, he's like, don't be so flippant when you're answering my questions. And he's like, you're going to answer my questions or else. And then he has the androids pull his arms apart while he's asking him questions. He's like, I won't tell you anything. He's like, where's Perry? He's like, okay, she's here. I think she ran off with Salatine. Please stop pulling my arms.
I mentioned how good the Fifth Doctor is at being in pain.
So, you must really like this episode.
I do.
He's in pain a lot.
He's sick, which is the best.
Slowly dying this whole serial. He's all sweaty and in pain and itchy. Do you like the itchy part?
No.
So, the doctor says that Salatine has Perry, so he's like, I don't care about the doctor anymore. And, like, Stotts is like, can we take him? Because we think he's a spy, and we're going to take him to Morgus. And then also to some people that will properly torture him. Jack is like, I don't give a shit, take him. And this is also a really nice shot. Like, the doctor's, like, on the floor, in pain, and, like, all of Stotts' men have their guns on him. And, like, Jack is way in the background. Stotts is talking to him in the background while the doctor is, like, right in front of the camera, like, in pain with guns on him. And then Stotts leans down next to him to talk to him.
Interesting about this serial is that I don't think the doctor has the upper hand once.
Until the cliffhanger for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, everything goes to absolute shit in this episode.
Everything gets to be about the worst it can be. The
only thing that gets better is Perry. Everything else gets worse. And, I mean, Perry comes out of this with more trauma.
Yeah, they're like, this serial is over, and it's not like, well, we saved the day, goodbye. It's like, we didn't die. Congrats.
Everyone else does, I think. I don't think anybody else really gets out of this.
I think the one female business lady does.
Oh, Timon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so here comes something that annoyed the shit out of me. So the Salatine android comes in and Chelak's being all like, oh yes, Hi, Salatine. I know you're Salatine. You're really Salatine. What's up? Anyway, here's our plans. And then, like, Perry and the real Salatine are in the room.
They're, like, hiding in a broom closet.
Yeah. And she wakes up, and the android hears a noise, and then scans the wall, like, he uses the heat signature and sees them in there. That ruins the plan immediately. And then he leaves, and then Chelak comes into that room with the real Salatine and Perry, and he's like, I think he thinks something's up. And then the real Salatine's like, oh yeah, he probably saw us through the walls. They can do that. What the fuck?
Why did you not take that into account when making your plan?
Why didn't you go somewhere? Surely there's other buildings, not just the room behind the main control room? Where Salatine hangs out, the android Salatine hangs out all the damn time? Anyway, Perry is doing worse. Chelak doesn't care because he thinks they're still in cahoots with Jack because he's like, Jack saved you guys from execution, so you must be in cahoots. But Salatine kind of backs her up and is like, nah, she's legit. The doctor's legs go numb and he falls down and Stas is like, what's up? And he's like, I'm poisoned. And that's also a really nice shot. They're in the caves, and it's like from a distance, and it's like slowly zooming in this whole scene. God, I love the visuals of this serial. And it's also like all smoky and moody. It's just good. And then Chelak and Salatine have to like update their plan somewhat in order to mislead the android. And then so Salatine's like, oh, also all of your video feeds are tapped. I should have said this all sooner. I'm real bad at my job. I'm just a little rusty. I've been kidnapped for years. Anyway, he's like, you should call Morgus and tell him the misdirecting plan because
all the video feeds are tapped. He'll believe that.
Again, this does not work.
No, it does make Morgus flip the fuck out, though.
Stotts calls into Morgus after blindfolding the doctor because he's like, nobody can see the boss except me. It's just how it works. Though the blindfold is removed pretty much immediately. But this is when we learn that Morgus is working with the gunrunners who are buying Spectrox. During this scene, Morgus is sitting at his desk and then will occasionally swivel around to talk to the camera like, what do I do? What am I doing? What am I doing? Then swivel back and be like, this is what I'm doing. He does it twice during this scene. So he sees the doctor, freaks out, and is like, thinks the execution was faked. And he's like, is the president onto me? Did the president have something to do with this? He just like starts getting very paranoid. Then Chelak sends Android Salatine on a reconnaissance mission to where they think a base is, which is a lie. Then the android bumps into Jack and tells him what's going on. Jack realizes they're being deceived and assumes Perry must be alone for some reason. I don't know why he thinks that. So he's just going to go kidnap Perry.
Because he knows where the doctor is.
And he knows that Salatine and
Salatine and all those people, like...
Oh, yeah, Salatine must be leading people back to Jack's base.
To the base, yeah.
Because he does know where the base is. Okay, so he's like, I'm going to take this opportunity to go get Perry. Okay, I got there. Chelak calls Morgus to tell him he's found Jack. The doctor is just left alone in the cabin of the ship while Stotts...
This scene's crazy.
They're also just stuck in orbit, I believe.
When I talk about like how the doctor's never had the upper hand and how he's like just in pain like so much of the time. So he's like handcuffed. He's like to something, right? Like to something in the plane.
Yeah, he breaks out of those.
He breaks out of those and there's something in the plane, like I guess some sort of like part or something that is just hot.
I assume like a battery type, I don't know, some sort of energy thing.
Yeah, so he like takes the cover off of it and he's going to use it to melt the chains. He misses, burns the shit out of his hand.
Well, that's also partially the rash.
Yeah, but there's like sizzling when he misses.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. He
does break free. He busts them apart. Later, he uses them to burn off his manacles as well.
Yeah.
Because they're like manacles with like a chain between them. He breaks the chain, and then later he just gets... I would have left them on.
Would have left the manacles. I would not be risking it on this beam or whatever it is.
To be fair, it might be easier to do the manacles because they're not behind his back this time. That's why he missed the first time, because they're behind his back. And then he starts fussing with the controls of the ship. Then a scene that, like, I enjoyed with Morgus. Morgus has the president come over, and he's like, President, there are plans to assassinate you. we need to get you out of here. And he's like, oh, I'll just go out. He's like, no, take my personal elevator. You can just go out through that one. We got to get you out of here and somewhere safe. The elevator doors open, and he shoves him down the elevator shaft. And the president does a tumble. I laughed out loud when that happened.
Why?
Because I was like, whoa, that's a good move. I don't know. I just like it when the show does something unexpected.
All right.
And then he calls Timon in, and he's like, there's been a tragedy. The president fell down the elevator shaft, and it's bad, and now I'm in control.
And now I'm the president. Don't ask any questions.
She's like, this is terrible. And he's like, well, it could have been worse. And she's like, how? He's like, it could have been me. This is when he started becoming an interesting character to me.
Yeah.
He's like, well, now that I'm in control, I'm going to go negotiate with Jack and stop this whole war thing. I'm going to get this under control. Also, have the lift maintenance engineer shot. He's just going to kill the guy that works on the elevators to cover his tracks. This man did nothing.
I don't know why he trusts
Timon?
Yeah, to say that. To be like, oh, also, by the way, blatantly cover up this murder I just did. Okay, thanks.
I mean, I feel like he's doing it in a way of like, the elevator is broken and it's his fault, so kill him. But no, it's clearly him covering his tracks. I mean, at least that's the way I read it.
That could be something.
It's like an honor thing. This man killed the president through his inaction. Jack gets back to his base and watches all of the soldiers preparing to storm his base, and they're all putting on the belts because Salatine has told him about the belts. And then he gives Perry a drink to sort of bring her back.
She's not doing well.
She's not doing
She got
well.
a bigger dose of the Spectrax than the doctor did, and she
took a full-on dip in it,
yeah.
Whereas he just brushed up against it. He tells Perry that the doctor was taken. They get into a bit of an argument or whatever, and she says that, I don't know, he just goes full-on crazy. I don't even know. He says that he's mad, and then he's very creepy and just all over her. Just gross.
It's awful.
She's like, these people come stop you, so whatever. And he's like, nope, I changed the frequency on the belts. They're all gonna die. And then the doctor locks the doors and is going to crash the ship into the planet unless he gets a cure for Perry. He's like, I have a friend down there and she's doing bad, and if you guys don't help me, I'm gonna crash this thing into the fucking planet. While Stotts is trying to like burn his way in, the camera zooms in on, like you see like the view screen zoom in on the planet, and then it just zooms in on the doctor, and that's the end of episode 3.
I think this might be one of the first, like this episode of this serial might be one of the first things of 5 I ever watched.
Really?
Yeah, which kind of explains why I was like, oh, this one's good.
Because he's very good this serial.
Yeah.
And also in pain, which you like.
Yeah. He's both very funny in it, and also he gets hurt a lot.
But no one takes care of him.
You know, you're right.
Isn't that a shame?
That is a shame. That's kind of the whole other part of it. That's very important.
It's no good just to have pain. You have to have comfort.
It's true.
I'm sorry, hurt comfort. Anyway, that's the end of episode 3, and we're now into episode 4, which I've called Got Milk? Got milk?
Okay.
Any reaction to that?
Not really. Were you hoping for one?
I was hoping for uproarious laughter. Because he's got to get milk.
Sure.
And also there was a popular ad campaign for milk. Because it's good for your bones. But I think they oversold it, right? Like, it was just because they had too much milk. And they needed to sell more milk. It's not really about how healthy milk is. They were just trying to sell it off as being healthier than it is, right? I read that somewhere.
I've never heard that before in my life, but it feels true.
I gotta make sure I'm right, because people tune into this podcast
looking for facts.
For milk facts. Anyway, the ship crashes into the planet and everyone dies. Now, the ship almost crashes into the planet, and at the last minute, the doctor lands the ship. Everybody falls down. The doctor runs away. He runs past everybody. He gets chased, but he gets off the ship and onto the planet. He's running to find Perry.
Is he running to find Perry, or is he running to get...
No, he doesn't know he doesn't know all of the details about how to get the milk yet, I don't think.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because Jex tells him later. So that the doctor can go into the caves and Jex can just caress Perry while she's passed out. In shots that take so long. So,
Salatine and Shellac and all that are headed... Find Jex's base. And the androids come out, and Salatine stands up and is like, it's okay, we have these belts, and is immediately shot dead.
Yeah.
Like, it happened so fast, I didn't even fully realize that was Salatine at first.
Oh, really?
I was just like, whoa, was that... Because I was a little surprised that they killed him so quickly. But yeah, Salatine is dead. The Doctor is running away. He falls down a hillside very dramatically right into the camera. The shots in this are so good. And these guys are gonna shoot at him. Stots his men, but then he is saved last minute by a mud burst. And then they run off, and he runs off. He gets away. But mud bursts just keep happening at this point, and it's also amping up the stakes. Basically now it's just like Chelak versus Jack. That's happening a lot. There's a lot of shooting at each other and all that sort of stuff. Stotts, I think, gets back on his ship, and Morgus is there. And he is worried that he's been found out, so he wants Stotts to get Jack's Spectrox, and then they'll split it and fuck off to another planet. And they can do that while Jack is distracted fighting Chelak. So, he's busy.
I like this thing, too, where he's like, it's fine, I've got bank accounts on offshore planets.
He's got plans in case things go south. But yeah, so the plan is, while he's busy fighting Chelak, they'll go and steal his shit and then get out of there. Meanwhile, Chelak and Jack fight. In the process, Jack loses his mask, and that's when Chelak goes, "Ah!"
3 different people scream right in his face, and Perry's one of them.
Chelak screams, and then Jack shoves him into there's a mudslide outside of his base door, and he shoves him into it, and I suppose he dies. Then Perry sees Jack's face and screams, and then because she screams, Jack hides under a table and cries.
Yep.
Because his girlfriend screamed at his face. Then we get that great scene. Morgus calls in to Timon to be continuing his evil plots. He's calling from Stas' ship. And then she swivels around and she's in his chair. And he's like, wait, why are you in my chair? And she's like, oh, I told everybody what the fuck you did. And now I have your job. You asshole. It's a really good scene.
It is fun.
She is just enjoying it. And she's like, fuck you. And it's good. From the shoving him down the shaft is when I started enjoying Morgus as a character, because he's less just sitting around talking about shit.
He becomes active.
Yeah.
As opposed to telling you what is happening.
Things are actually happening.
Yeah.
Which is good. And then he's like, well, fuck it. We can still get that Spectrox. And Stotts' men, Kelper and the other guy, are like, no, we don't want to do that. We don't want to risk it. There's fucking mud bursts out there. There's a fucking war going on. We got enough. We're going to get out of here. And Stotts is like, well, I'll do it. I'll go with you, Morgus. It's fine. We don't need them. And then he just tells his men that they're shitty or whatever. And then he starts to walk out, walks back, and shoots them.
Why?
Because he's an evil motherfucker. Because that's the kind of guy Stotts is. Then he smiles and leaves. And he tells Morgus, hey, listen, you're not hot shit anymore. We're equals. So we're splitting this shit 50-50. He's like, but I'm a higher citizen. He's like, no, not anymore, you're not. You fucking killed the president. So we're equals now. You are not my boss. Then the celery is used a little bit, because the Doctor gets to Jack's base.
He uses it to wake Perry up. Yeah. Which is, have you ever smelled celery?
Celery does not have a smell.
It does, but only just barely.
Maybe this is Gallifreyan celery.
No, we watched him get that celery, and it wasn't from Gallifrey, it was from,
Castrovalva.
Castrovalva.
Well, he replaced it later with celery from the Enlightenment ship. Both of those are celery from places that didn't technically exist.
Is the celery real?
Castrovalva was a created place, and everybody on the Enlightenment ship was brought there and then disappeared. I guess the celery from Enlightenment might be real, but still.
I'm having a hard time right now. What is and isn't real?
I mean, it's all a fictional show.
Oh. Is this?
Yeah, this is fake. We're not real.
God, that is honestly a relief. That takes a load off my mind.
We don't even have bodies. We're just voices.
Oh, rad. That is what I've always wanted.
I mean, that's a little bit different for people who watch these uncut on Patreon, but generally we're just voices.
That would be ideal.
You just want to be a disembodied voice? Mm-hmm. No body?
I don't require a physical form. I mean, the only thing I would miss if I didn't have a physical form is eating. Because I genuinely enjoy eating food.
What about orgasms? Can you have those without a body? What about hugs? What about smoochies?
What about smoochies?
I like smoochies. I like hugs too. What about holding hands? What about squeezing butts?
What about being a metaphysical embodiment of the abyss?
Yeah, but what about sticking your hand in one of those, like, pin things, you know? Where you stick your face in it, and it makes the shape of your face.
Have you ever put your hand in a thing of corn?
Right? You can't do that without a body. Touching shit's cool sometimes.
That's fair, I guess.
Yeah, I'd miss touching. Just things. Tactile experiences.
What are your top 5 tactile experiences?
Oh, I don't think I can say that on a podcast.
Top 5 non-sexual tactile experiences.
Well, I already mentioned the, like, pin thing. I actually really like the pin thing.
The metal ones or the plastic ones?
Metal.
Yeah.
Metal, for sure.
Yeah.
There's a smell to that as well that's attached to it. I don't know. Don't ask me. I like petting the cat.
Okay.
I just like picking up the cat like a baby.
Yeah.
I like holding a television remote and like rubbing my thumb over the buttons.
Over the buttons? That's a good one.
I have a stress ball at work. I like squeezing.
Where'd you get that?
Actually, I got it from Matt Golden. Hey, thanks, Matt. Golden. This little baseball thing.
Yeah.
I might have stolen it from him at work one time. I don't know if he actually gave it to me.
Wait, what?
I might have stolen it. No, I don't. Did I? Hey, thanks, Matt. Golden. Or, I'm sorry, Matt. Golden.
Matt is listening to this going, what the fuck? That's where it is.
Oh, what's a 5th thing? I mean, holding your hand.
Gross.
Or just a hug. I like hugs. What about you?
When I was little, we used to have a playpen, and the playpen had this, like, mesh fabric on all 4 sides of it, and I would just run my face over it. I'm 31 years old and I still think about that all the goddamn time.
Ooh, showers. Sorry, go ahead.
I also like the pins. Can I?
You can take that one.
Can that be one?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever put your hand in like a lot of something, like corn. Like they have those corn things at like fairs. That's not where I did it. I did it wearing a rubber glove at a theater. But I was wearing a glove. It was fine. We would just have big bins of them at the movie theater. And if you just put your hand in it, it's good. I really like swimming and then getting out of the water and then it's warm. That's a good one.
Just being in water in general is a good one.
Yeah. But like specifically when like the water's cool and the sun is warm, that is like the best feeling. I don't know. A 5th one. I can just say holding your hand too or whatever.
I mean, you don't have to.
That's fine. I enjoy holding your hand, I guess.
You like your weighted blanket?
I do like my weighted blanket. It's not heavy enough. I wish it was heavier.
I can get you a heavier one.
I could probably do 2 of them. And I think mine's like 25.
So yeah, that's our top 5 tactile experiences.
What the fuck else were we talking about?
The Caves of Androzani.
Shit.
Little mini-sode right there. Right in the middle. Where were we? I don't know how the fuck we got here. It's something to do with the celery. Anyway, the doctor's like, I gotta go get that milk. So he's gonna go do that, and Jack gives him some oxygen to help him get into that part of the cave that doesn't have oxygen. Because Jack wants to save Perry.
Which I don't think it works.
It does. The doctor holds his breath for a very long, because he's like, I can hold my breath for a very long time. And he holds his breath until he starts running out. Then he uses the oxygen.
Oh.
So there's a period there where he's just like holding his breath and then he pops it in.
I don't think it lasts very long though.
No, there's not a lot of it. He's like, it's only enough for like that. So that's why he's like holding his breath for the majority of it. And then Jack proceeds to take care of Perry while he does this. That cuts back to it occasionally and it's just very creepy. He's stroking her face and I don't like it.
What was that sound? This is a terrible sound.
It evokes the same emotion that I felt while watching those scenes.
Okay.
So yeah, this is where the doctor just runs across the dead creature, and he's like, "Oh well," and then moves on. Like,
I didn't even get to fight you.
No idea how that happened. The doctor goes into the caves. As he's going into the caves, you just hear Jack going, "She's dying, doctor. She's dying, doctor. She's dying, doctor," echoing over and over again, which is a weird choice. Is that supposed to like him remembering it, or
I think the idea is like that is what is like
motivating the doctor?
Yeah, pushing him to go on.
And it's just like him on a set, and then the rest of it's like a matte painting, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Maybe might have been chroma or CSO. Really, this scene in the caves happens very quickly.
Happens very quickly, and it's shot very wide. For like a lot of the times, the Doctor is just like crawling through these tunnels in like a very wide shot, so he's just kind of like a little determined smudge.
Going through these blowholes. And then the Doctor gets the milk.
Here, do you know what I'm not happy about? I wanted to see a big-ass bat.
I wanted to see, specifically, the Doctor milking a bat.
I did, too. Milking a big-ass bat.
Yeah.
Why is that not in this serial?
More sci-fi needs characters milking creatures.
Just drinking from teats.
Just drinking straight from an alien creature titty.
That's really...
Thank you, The Last Jedi.
what we want from sci-fi. And the sooner everyone else figures that out, the better.
Rian Johnson is the only man brave enough to give us the sci-fi we crave. He's the only man giving us
I'm only
that
kind of
calcium.
kidding.
I'm straight up, I'm 100% serious right now. That was the moment that I was like, I fucking love this
This is
movie.
gonna be a good movie.
Was when Luke Skywalker just drank that milk. I was like, all right, I'm in for whatever you're gonna give me, movie. I'm excited. You're doing shit, and it's good. The rest of the movie is good too. But that was the scene that full 100% sold me. So anyway, Morgus and Stotts find Jack. Jack shows his face again. I don't think we've seen it before. Like, other characters it, but we see it for the first time.
We see it for the first time.
And it's inconsistent. His face is green and lumpy, but we've seen him wearing that mask, and we can see around his eye. A lot around his eye. And
It's not green and lumpy.
It's not green at all. But when his mask is off, all green. What's up with that? Did the mask just have a flesh bit colored on it?
Yes.
Anyway, there's a lot of fighting and murder.
This is another one of those where everyone fucking dies.
It's just like one character after another. Jack starts strangling Morgus, then Stotts shoots Jack. As soon as he shoots Jack, Android Salatine walks in and shoots Stotts. And then as Jack is dying...
It sounds like a comedy to hear you describe it.
It's what happens!
It feels very what you say.
A little bit. Dear sister, as he's dying, Jack shoves Morgus's head into like a beam of a machine.
Yeah.
It kills Morgus and then causes everything else to catch fire. The whole place is on fire. Everybody's dead.
Nobody's having a good time.
The android Salatine comes in and Jack says, "Hold me." And the android just holds him as he's dying. The Doctor comes in with the milk, gets Perry, and is like, oh, what the fuck is happening here? And they just leave as the place burns down around them. And the android is just holding Jack as he dies. And that's his last command. So that's all he does. As soon as Jack dies, the android just stops and is just holding him. And they're both basically just dead.
Can you describe the emotion that makes you feel?
Empty. It's good.
I was going to say, because you're so intense right now.
It's chilling in a way, you know? I don't know. I don't care about Jack or anything, but it's just a fucked up thing to happen. And also just for the Doctor to be just like there and like, I missed all of this. Let's just leave. This is weird.
The Doctor came back 5 minutes later with the pizza.
That's exactly it. It's that fucking Community meme. And then they run to the TARDIS. There are mud bursts everywhere. I believe the Doctor drops. He has some like 2 things of milk, I think, or maybe just 1. But he drops it at some point, and some of it spills out. But they get inside the TARDIS as mud bursts are blasting all around them, and then they TARDIS out of there just as the TARDIS disappears. Huge mud burst. He gives Perry the milk. She drinks the milk, and she's fine. And then he's like, "Oh fuck, is this what dying feels like?" He says, "I might regenerate. I don't know. Feels different this time."
What does that mean?
And then all of Five's companions reappear around him and are telling him not to die. Fun fact, that's all new footage.
I thought so.
They had to bring back people to film them. I'm surprised that shit came. But yeah, that's all new footage. They even include Chameleon in there.
Really? I don't remember that.
They all just say, "Don't die, Doctor." Basically, they all have slightly different stuff. I believe Tegan says,
Braveheart.
The Master appears and is like, don't listen to them, die! Go ahead and die! Ha, 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 ha. And then it's that bit that makes the Doctor go, fuck you! I'm gonna not die out of spite.
It's the only good reason to do anything.
And then 5 disappears, and Colin Baker sits up. And I gotta say, I'm like instantly into him.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've heard that the next serial kind of sucks, but this scene, I'm like, I like him a lot. He's immediately like a little shit. Because she's like, Doctor? He's like, were you expecting someone else? And then she goes, I. He's like, that's 3 eyes in one breath. Makes you sound a rather egotistical young lady. I just enjoy that dialogue. And then she's like, what's happened? And he says, change, my dear. And he looks right at the camera and says, and it seems not a moment too soon. It's the first time that the new Doctor has had lines.
Oh, you're right.
Usually it's just they appear and that's it. Well, when 1 turned to 2, 2's just laying there. 2 turns to 3, we don't actually see.
We never see, yeah.
3 turns into 4, and we just see Tom Baker laying there. He doesn't say anything. 4 turns into 5. 5 just lays there, doesn't say anything. Actually, sorry. 4 turns into a weird, crackly skin dude. 10 turns into 5. So this is the first time that 5 turns into 6, and then 6 has lines.
Nice.
Also, we kind of skipped over, but 5th Doctor's last words are Adric?
Aww.
But yeah, that's the end of 5 and the beginning of 6. What's your initial response to 6?
I don't know. I did like his dialogue. I mean, that's it. That's all I know so far.
But that's it. That's the end of the 4th episode, the end of the 5th Doctor, and the end of the Caves of Androzani. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back for final thoughts.
Here at the Cosmic Pizza Podcast, we make every show from the finest ingredients.
Juicy interviews, fiery film nights, delicious Desert Island DVDs.
And pack it all into a slice of life in every episode.
Order up our specials now from your delivery guys.
Sean from Canada.
Dan from Kent in the UK.
And Paul from near Liverpool in the UK.
Here on the ESO Network.
The Cosmic Pizza Podcast.
Serving you a slice of life.
What a nice ad. We're back. Hey, Tony.
Yeah.
Do you know what time it is?
Yeah, I do.
What time is it? Oh, God, is it back? Is the bit back?
Is what bit back?
I didn't say anything. What time is it?
I want to talk more about this bit. I'm interested.
You used to do this bit where I'd be like, what time is it? And you'd be like, oh, it's 9:19 p.m. Eastern
It is
time.
9:19 p.m.
But what I was trying to get you to say is that it was time for final thoughts.
Oh, is it time for final thoughts?
Yes.
Final thoughts.
I think I said earlier in the episode that this is one of the first things that I ever saw 5 in. And obviously I liked it a lot because I was going through and I was watching all of the regenerations. I don't know why that's a thing I decided to do, but it was. And so I watched this one and I continued to watch 5 backwards from there. So I obviously like this one a lot. And a lot of that has to do with, stuff we already talked about. The Doctor's very good in it. It's a great serial for him. He gets hurt a lot in it. So those two things are combined. I was like, this is pretty good. I will say I enjoy this serial a lot. I think I enjoy the last 2 episodes of it more than the first 2 episodes. And even though what is there in that political talk stuff that Joe and I couldn't super pay attention to is good critiques of capitalism and stuff. So that stuff is good. Yeah. It has substance to it. That's what I was trying to say. It's not that it was bad. It was just delivered specifically in a way that pinged my ADHD, I think. Yeah, there were a lot of times with this of the Doctor's trying really hard to save his friend that he got into trouble. And that's what I remember really liking about it from the first time around. Of the Doctor has these companions and it's dangerous to travel with the Doctor. And so for something, really bad to happen to one of them and he's got to go and he's got to fix it. Watching it in context, it kind of sucks that it's Perry. It kind of sucks that it's this character that I don't super know. I'm so worried about Perry. It is dangerous and traumatizing to travel with the Doctor, but it also has to be fun, or else I don't want to watch you do it. Like, if it's just traumatizing and scary the whole time, you should stop.
Right.
Like, yeah, and there were definitely scenes where, like, this was written as banter, and, like, she's playing it very just, like, dramatic and scared and traumatized. And it's difficult because you're like, well, that is a fair response. That is a way a rational person would respond to this situation. But it's not fun to watch. But now instead of being, like, fun, I feel icky. So I'm so worried about it. But I really love the serial. I think it's fun. I think 5 is great in it, and it's great to see. It does a good job of, like, showcasing this doctor right before he regenerates. I think that's it.
I will say, like, this episode is frequently rated, like, the best Fifth Doctor serial. I believe it was rated, like, the best classic Doctor Who serial, maybe, at one point. I could be wrong about that. But definitely the best Fifth Doctor serial. I don't think it's quite that good. I really like it, though. I agree with Tony. The 3rd and 4th episodes are better than the 1st and the 2nd, because I do find the politics stuff kind of boring and hard to get through. I think some of this is actually performance related.
I 100% think it is.
And I think that's true of Perry, too. There was something that, like, because this episode's written by Robert Holmes, and one of my favorite things about Robert Holmes scripts is you get the Robert Holmes duo.
Funny!
Yeah. And I think there was a Robert Holmes duo in this one, but it was supposed to be the Doctor and Perry, but Nicola Bryant is not playing that character.
There's no comedy.
Yeah. Like, I could see that being played more comedically. I mean, still kind of dark and stuff, but, like, she's just playing it super, super traumatized. And, like, there's specifically a scene it's just one take. It's the Doctor and Jack and Perry sort of bouncing around each other. And it's very well shot. The camera moves in and out, and there's one point where it gets really close, and the Doctor and Jack are just staring, like, at each other, as close as those two people on the elevator were. But, like, the Doctor is being witty and bantery and playing off of Jack, and Perry is
twitching.
Twitching and, like, jumpy and, like, kind of killing the, like, pace of the scene a little bit. It gives everything a weird mood. I don't know, maybe she gets better. I mean, I had problems with...
We had very similar complaints of Tegan, and she ended up being a companion that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I kind of think this serial would have been better if it had been Tegan. Because, yeah, like you said, we don't know Perry, so having the Doctor go all out for this person is... I mean, it's still good.
I will say, I said something very similar to Christine, and she was like, it is nice, though, that, like, knowing that the Doctor would do this for anyone. Yeah. Like, that is, like, a nice sort of beat to hit.
It is a good beat to hit, but I still think it would have been a better beat if it was him doing it for Tegan, someone that we care about.
Right.
Those, like, minor quibbles aside, I thought it was a really good serial. It's very well written. It's very well shot. Peter Davison is so fucking good in this one. Maybe not the best Fifth Doctor serial, but it's the best serial
for the Fifth Doctor
for him. Yeah. That best performance he does. I think he's just full on the Doctor, and it's just really good. I'm sad to see him go because I felt like he was just starting to hit his stride. Coming off of Tom Baker, there was this idea of, like, let's make the show less about the Doctor,
because that seems to break a person.
Yeah, but I feel like they were finally we should let him be the Doctor again, and it's sad that it comes so late in his run. So I'm sad to see him go, and also, like, apparently, like, he was getting bored of it, and then when they filmed this one, they got the new director in. I forget his name.
Oh,
I know he's huge, and he was like, "Oh shit, this is actually really fun," and, like, he enjoyed that filming with that director and everything. He's like, if I'd known they were going to move into, like, this direction and use this guy more, I might have stayed on another season.
Oh no, I don't like hearing that. That's tragic.
But I'm sad to see him go. I think he was great. But I am excited to see 6. I hear a lot of mixed things about 6. I've actually mostly hear kind of bad things. But there are a handful of people that, like, super love.
That love 6.
Love 6. So I'm excited to see 6. That scene with him I was down for. So we'll see how it continues at the end of this season. I still think that's weird. But yeah, I think that's it. I liked it. Before we go, is there anything we need to plug?
Season 2 of The Unseen World has premiered, so you can go and you can watch episode 1 online right now.
It's on the Heartland Network app on Roku. You can get it online at watchheartlandtv.com.
If you want to like follow for, what episode is coming up, because we actually do like a promo for what's going to be airing every week, follow See Unseen World on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Frankly, Facebook is the only one that updates right now. I'm working on it. So episode number 1 is out already. It's about the City Museum and the Museum of Wonder, which is this drive-through museum in Seal, Alabama.
And City Museum's in St. Louis, right?
In St. Louis, it's just this huge, they turned this entire building into a playground for adults, basically. Well, for families. But there's like a bar down on the first level and stuff. So
a gigantic ball pit, a bus hanging off of the roof.
There's like part of it that are like caves, and you go and you like crawl through the caves, and you can crawl up to the caves, and then all of a sudden you're in like treetops, and then you crawl like through the treetops. And you're in like a completely other different place. It's crazy. And then Museum of Wonder is this drive-through museum in Seal, Alabama, and this artist, his name is Butch Anthony, who just decided to like paint one day, and now he's super fucking good at it and super famous. So good, and you should watch the episodes. I won't keep talking about it. You can just go watch it now, and that'll be a much better way to absorb this information.
I'm glad it's finally here.
I am glad it's finally here. I've been working on it for a long time. We got interrupted by the pandemic.
So new episodes come out every week, or? New
episodes every week. Every Friday. It airs on the Heartland Network every Friday at 8.
And then it goes online after that.
After that, yeah.
I'm excited. I haven't seen all of them. I need to. I mean, I've seen rough edits and stuff. I haven't seen it. I don't think I've seen a fully edited episode.
A single fully edited episode. So yeah, please do that. Please follow me on Twitter at Forward Power.
FWDPWR.
Yes, thank you. Follow 180 Seconds on Twitter at 180_seconds. I talked about this last time, but I have this running Google Voice number, and it's been running for years now, years and years. And I just sort of posted the number and told people to call in with whatever they felt like. And so now I have this huge collection of voicemails of people telling me about the people that they're in love with, or how their year went, or something that's going on in their life that's really hard, or sometimes they just call in and tell me a weird joke or whatever. But I have this huge collection of them, and I've been posting them on this Twitter account. And it's hard because I'm bad at Twitter. And I don't know how when you have like a new Tumblr account, you kind of just like tag things, and I'll blog things from like my personal one that has followers, and then it gets followers from there. I don't know how to do it on Twitter. So I'm telling the people who listen to my podcast, please go follow me on Twitter and like retweet the things that are there and help me out. I would appreciate it.
You can follow me on all social media at Minty Pineapple. Also, check out my book, Road Trippy, that I co-wrote with Ray Friesen and Christine Cherry. You can get that on Amazon. And also, check out My Two Clones, my newest short film, which is on mintypineapple.com or youtube.com/AlohaJoe. That's the only place I'm not Minty Pineapple. Also, if you work for a TV show and want to put me on your writer's room, do that. Thank you. And if you like this episode of the podcast, you can check out more on WatchYourRassilon.com. And if you'd like to help us out, you can become a Patreon patron at patreon.com/Watch-A-Thon. Or you can find our Amazon wish list at WatchYourRassilon.com/support. And you can sponsor an episode of the podcast by purchasing a DVD or Blu-ray for us. We'll mention you on the podcast and put your name on our Friends of Rassilon page. Speaking of, special thanks again to Matt Golden for sponsoring this episode.
Hey, thanks, Matt.
Golden!
You can check them out at MatthewGolden.net. I also want to give a special shout out to Vince and EL for providing us with our incredible theme song.
Thank you, Vince.
You can check them out at soundcloud.com/VinceandEL or vinceandel.bandcamp.com. And tune in next time when we take a look back at the Fifth Doctor.
End of a Doctor special.
Yeah, we're gonna rank his companions and his serials and his monsters and I'm gonna listen to the Fourth Doctor special and see if we made any predictions and see if those have come true. But until next time, keep calling Rassilon.
Goodbye, and I love you in a platonic parasocial way.
Milk facts.
I might regenerate. I don't know. Feels different this time.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.